7 months. That's all the time baby Emmanuel Haro had to depend on the world to protect him. 7 months, and we still couldn't get it right. People heard the crying. People saw the changes. But no one asked why a child who once lit up every room was suddenly hidden from view. Social workers visited. Friends stopped by. The system checked his name off a list and walked away. No urgency, no alarm, just silence. Now Emmanuel is gone. The story has shifted. What began as a desperate search for a kidnapped child is now an investigation into his own parents. But this case isn't only about them. It's about every adult who chose comfort over confrontation. Every neighbor who said, "It's not my business." Every professional who missed the chance to knock twice, ask harder questions, or filed the report that might have saved him. He couldn't speak for himself. He couldn't call for help. And we, every single one of us, were supposed to do that for him. The official search began at sunrise. Officers combed through fields, dumpsters, alleyways. Volunteers showed up with flashlights and posters. On television, Emmanuel's picture flashed every hour, but even as the public searched, the investigation was already shifting focus away from strangers and toward the people closest to him. Behind the scenes, detectives reviewed surveillance footage. A gas station camera caught Emmanuel's father's car parked at an odd hour, empty, engine running. No mention of this detail was made at the first press briefing. Why? Who decided it wasn't time to share it with the public? Family members were interviewed. Some accounts didn't match. A cousin said Emmanuel hadn't been seen at a family gathering 2 weeks earlier, though his parents claimed he was there. A grandmother admitted she hadn't been allowed to hold him for months. These weren't rumors. They were statements, documented in reports that rarely leave the case file. And then there were the visits. Twice in the last month, authorities came to the Haro home. Both times, they left saying no immediate danger. Yet later, an investigator privately admitted there were signs something was wrong, signs that were easy to overlook if you didn't want to see them. Medical records added another layer. Emmanuel missed 2 scheduled checkups. A nurse called the family twice. No answer. No follow-up. Another opportunity lost. Neighbors described unusual activity, cars pulling up late at night, arguments spilling into the street, Emmanuel crying long after midnight. Some recorded it on their phones, but no one called it in. They told themselves it wasn't their business. Daycare records showed bruising. A staff email marked urgent sat unopened for days. By the time anyone read it, Emmanuel was already missing. And what about the psychologist's note? A professional who had seen the family wrote, "I am concerned for this child's safety. Immediate attention recommended." That note went nowhere. The timeline is clear. Multiple warnings, multiple visits, multiple people who could have intervened. All of it ignored, delayed, or dismissed. Now Emmanuel is gone. His parents are in custody. The official narrative says there was no kidnapping, but the deeper you look, the more it feels like everyone failed him long before investigators pointed fingers. This isn't just about what happened in one house on one night. This is about every call that wasn't answered, every report that wasn't filed, every adult who looked the other way, waiting for someone else to take responsibility. 7 months old. Too young to speak, too small to fight back, and still, no one listened. By the 3rd day of searching, the investigation was no longer about finding a missing baby. It was about tracing the failures that led to his disappearance. Detectives pieced together Emmanuel's final days: 3 missed medical checkups, 2 ignored welfare visits, 1 unopened urgent email from daycare, and somewhere in between, a child vanished from view. Leaked documents suggest that even after Emmanuel was reported missing, authorities held back information from the public. A neighbor's sworn statement about seeing him hours after the supposed kidnapping, buried. A psychologist's warning letter, never escalated. Evidence from the father's phone showing a late-night drive with no destination, still unaddressed in court. If this was simply a case of parents harming their own child, why the omissions? Why were people told to stay quiet? Why did key details vanish from early reports? The uncomfortable truth is this: Emmanuel's death isn't just about what happened inside his home. It's about every person and every agency that failed to act when there was still time. This case forces a question no one wants to ask out loud. Who killed Baby Haro first, the people who raised him or the system that abandoned him? And as you hear these words, ask yourself, how many other babies are crying tonight unheard? How many more warnings will we ignore? And when the next Emmanuel Haro disappears, will we pretend we didn't see it coming? The story isn't over. In fact, it's only beginning, and the answers waiting to surface will shake more than one household, more than one agency, more than one city.